Hey everyone, it's Tara. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with my May TBR. TBRs are a relatively new thing for me. By relatively, I mean pretty much brand new. The first TBR I ever actually wrote out and tried to stick to was April's TBR for the Magical Readathon, but I very much enjoyed only having 12 books to choose from within the month instead of the 400 that I have on my bookshelf. So I decided to give it another go in May and see if I stuck to this or if I say screw it and just read whatever I want. We'll see what happens. There are a couple sequels that I want to get to this month. I read a few first books in series or books that have a follow-up novel to them, and I'm excited to dive back into those worlds. The first book shouldn't come as a surprise. I had this book on my April TBR, but I was pretty sure I wasn't going to get to it just because of how big it is. But it is The Wise Man's Fear by Patrick Rothfuss. I've already started. I'm about 200 pages in. This is the sequel to The Name of the Wind, book 2 in the King Killer Chronicles. I was pleasantly surprised by The Name of the Wind. My husband had been telling me I needed to read it. I had a few friends tell me I need to read it. It's been mentioned here on across BookTube multiple times. So while fantasy isn't a genre I typically read, I gave it a go and I really enjoyed Name of the Wind. Name of the Wind, the King Killer Chronicles in general, is the story of Quoth, who is the King Killer. And he is telling his life story to the chronicler who has found him at the inn that he now owns. The chronicler wants to tell Quoth's story, kind of how he got from point A to point B. Quoth says, I need 3 days to tell my story. Name of the Wind is day 1. The Wise Man's Fear is day 2. Wise Man's Fear picks up right where Name of the Wind left off. Past Quoth is still at school, still trying to figure out how to pay his tuition every semester. He is still madly, I don't know if in love is the right word, madly infatuated with Dina. He is still on his quest to find out as much as he can about the Chandrian. He is still up to his antics with Ambrose. It's a good time. I enjoy reading all of his crazy adventures. So we'll see how long it takes me to get through this 1,100 page book. I'm hoping it doesn't take me all month. I also have on my TBR The Gatehouse by Nelson DeMille. This is the follow-up to The Gold Coast, which I read last month. This picks up 3 years after the Gold Coast ends. John Sutter has been on a sailboat journey. John Sutter needed to get away after everything that happened in the Gold Coast, but he has to come back to Long Island when the caretaker of the estate that him and Susan lived on passes away. When he comes back, he has more interactions with the Bellarosa family. He's with Susan again. There's some revenge that needs to take place at some point, I assume. So while The Gold Coast was not my favorite Nelson DeMille book, I'm really excited to see what happens next. I also want to get to the sequel to Crazy Rich Asians, which is China Rich Girlfriend. I really enjoyed Crazy Rich Asians. I read it in just a couple of days, and I really want to see what happens next with Nick and Rachel. So China Rich Girlfriend, from what I understand, Nick and Rachel are now back in New York. They're trying to progress their relationship after everything that happened in Crazy Rich Asians, after Nick's family pulled their antics, and we see what happens next. And I really am excited to be back in that world with that family and that relationship because it made me happy. So those are some of the sequels that I want to get to. There's a couple other books. They're actually the first books in series that I also would love to get to if I have the time. First one is A Study in Charlotte by Brittany Cavallaro. I've heard a few different people talk about this on BookTube. The person who really made it sound intriguing and like something I might want to pick up is Abigail with Abigail's Cup of Tea. She has read, I think, all of the books in this series and speaks very highly of them. So A Study in Charlotte follows Jamie Watson and Charlotte Holmes, descendants of Sherlock and Dr. Watson. They are at a private school, a boarding school in Connecticut, a prep school in Connecticut, and they get framed for murder. So they have to work their way out of that pickle. It just seems, I've read a lot of these Sherlock Holmes stories, and so I'm excited to see this new take on Sherlock and Watson. And then I also would love to get to All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. I watched the movie on Netflix and really enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. So I decided I want to read the book because I like to do that. If I've read a book, I want to watch the movie that is based on the book. And if I watch a movie that I like, and I know that it's based off of a book, I like to go and read that book and see what the movie left out or what the movie changed. So this follows Laura Jean. She has written letters, secret letters, to 5 different boys that she has had a crush on at some point in her life. And those letters somehow get released and mailed to their recipients. And that's not good. And so Laura Jean has to deal with her secret crushes no longer being secret. So it was a cute movie. I'm excited to see how this plays out and possibly read the other 2 books in the series. And I will be watching the second movie when it comes out on Netflix. So that is my tentative May TBR. I'm actually going to my library book sale tomorrow, in which I tend to pick up a decent chunk of books. So this might all change depending on what I pick up there. Anyways, that's it for now. Until next time, happy reading. Bye.